Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast. My name is Julio, and I'm joined today by some friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, Dave, Chris, and Jose. And on behalf of the guys, we want to thank you for joining us for episode 37 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. For those of you watching on YouTube, we want to thank you for viewing and hit the like and subscribe buttons if you're enjoying the show. Before we begin, we want to give a huge shout out to our chief Heron Head, Matias. Thank you so much for your generous support. Additionally, we'd like to thank our other Heron Heads, Art, Brian, Kevin, James, and Karen. Thank you so much for your continued support. And if you'd like to consider supporting us on Patreon, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening. Lastly, we drew the winners for our giveaway of the prints of this lovely piece of art that I'm pointing to. For those of you on video, for those of you on audio, we have a beautiful drawing that was made by local artist Chris Shane. The winners were Matt and David, not our David, but a different David. So we will be reaching out to you guys via the email you provided for the giveaway. Thank you so much to everyone who participated. And if you were not selected as the winners, sorry, we only had a limited amount, but make sure you keep following us for future giveaways that we're able to put together for you guys. And now that that's all out of the way, today we will be discussing Luis Suarez's imminent transfer from Gremio, and we will also be talking about the Noche events that will be taking place at Drive Pink Stadium this Friday, November 10th. Is that right? Yeah, that sounds right. The big news over the last couple of days is that Luis Suarez, the transfer feels like it's going to happen pretty much immediately, but basically it's fairly set in stone. So first thoughts, guys, what were your initial thoughts when the news really came out that he was coming?
My thoughts were it's about damn time, because we were kind of expecting him in the last transfer window, but there was an issue of him getting released from Gremio. So yeah, we could have definitely used him this past season. But my initial thought of having him on the club is this is going to be great for Campana. Campana is going to have somebody to really learn from and glean as much insider knowledge of how to play with that type of build, because I think they have very similar builds. Obviously not the same skill set, because Campana is still growing and learning, but absolutely, I think that this is going to be fantastic for Campana.
Yeah, I think we're in for a treat with Luis Suarez coming in here. We're watching just some old highlights and some newer ones from him, and just kind of comparing the new and the old, just to see how he's progressed. And obviously he's not the same Luis Suarez that was of the old, but man, he still has it. He still has it in that Brazilian league. He has the skill, the dribbling. He goes around defenders with ease. It's still impressive to watch him do it. Maybe his finishing isn't as up to par as it used to be, but still, man, it's fun to watch, and I can't wait to see him come here with the MLS defenders. I think it's going to be really, really nice. It's going to be a treat for us here as Inter Miami fans.
Yeah, Gremio wasn't playing around. When they didn't want to give him to us, there's a reason. They were fighting for a top spot in their league, and they're still in it. They're number 4 out of in Brazilian league, and guess what? They're only 3 points out of being in first place, and that's major part of it is because of Luis Suarez. Him contributing, him scoring. We're getting a very nice piece to our puzzle. Campana and Joseph, they were good, but I think we're bringing a great number 9 for us. It's one of those things where it's going to complete what Messi wants to do. He doesn't have to worry about, are they going to cut now? Are they going to do this? They're in sync. We are almost complete with MSN. Now we just need Neymar. That's the only thing left. But yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a really fun year.
What's amazing to me about Suarez across his entire career is what a complete striker he is. And it specifically stood out to me when we watched some of the film from this season in the Brazilian league. His passing ability really stood out to me, like his one-touch passing, where he's not even like on the ball. He's just receiving a pass, but just does a little flick or kind of just he's just very intelligent and aware of where he is and where his teammates are, and he leads his team in not just goals but also assists. He has 21 goal contributions across 27 matches played. Those are 11 goals and 10 assists. Both lead his team. He is very complete as a striker. He's big-bodied, which I think helps him in these physical leagues that are more prevalent in the Americas, MLS, the Brazilian league. You know, we talk about the Argentinian league at times being very physical, but he is very well suited for the MLS style of play. And even though obviously there's been a drop off in how efficient he might be with his scoring, he's still outproducing his XG. He's way outproducing his his expected assists, and he is going to, I think, just tear it up. I was mentioning to me and an MLS analyst had a little back and forth on Twitter, and he posed the question of how many goals do you think Luis Suarez scores? And I suggested that if he plays 75% of the matches during the MLS season, that he scores over 20. And he agreed. He was like, yeah, I think so long as he's healthy, which, mind you, this entire season in Brazil, he has been, that he expects him to score over 1 goal per 90 minutes. So that could easily be a number that he eclipses so long as he is given the minutes. And unless if, unfortunately something happens on the field, I don't see why he doesn't hit that mark.
You're giving a early prediction for a Golden Boot?
Yeah, sure. I'll hang my hat on that one. Like, that's not too hard.
Yeah, I agree.
What's to me, what's great about what Inter Miami is building is that it's not just the big names, which obviously is a huge draw in and of itself, but each of these players are creative pieces on the pitch. They're not just like Messi's not just an assist man. Like, obviously he's an incredible dribbler, passer, scorer of the ball. Suarez also same can be said. Like, he's incredible scorer. He has very good technical ability with the ball. He does acrobatic things in and around the box. Busquets, like, he can play the passes. Like, all these are very creative playmakers. Jordi Alba defends, but also is like super creative in attack. So the angles in which we will be able to attack other MLS teams is going to be nuts. So yeah, absolutely. Luis Suarez, Golden Boot, immediately to me is one of the favorites. Like, you'll still have, depending on what happens during the offseason, you'll have the Boanga and Almada and all these like players that we're used to from this season. Luis Suarez is going to be a different animal because we're going to be a much more complete team. And if he's ready from day one, it'll be like interesting for a little bit, but he'll just pull away.
Just to touch a little, you touched it really quickly, the injury thing. That's the biggest question that everyone likes to bring up about Luis Suarez. Are his knees shot and this and that? Man, the guy's played every single match in the Brazilian league this season. And what was the average minutes? 87 minutes or something like that. He plays the whole match. Every single match. I think that's put to rest for right now, obviously. And I think coming into Inter Miami, having Campana there, I think is going to ease that a little bit. I think he's going to be able to maybe kind of control his minutes a little bit, maybe not start every match. Obviously, the MLS season is very long with all the tournaments we have to play, so it's not feasible for him to start that many games. But I think Campana here helps him out a little bit with that and maybe control the minutes, keep that injury risk down a little bit. So, but yeah, I think we can lay that to rest right now. I think he's healthy. He could obviously play the minutes. He's fit to do it. So sky's the limit right now, especially coming into the MLS.
Also, having Campana to be his second is really nice because it sets up this archetype now that we have for a striker that we can, if Suarez doesn't play one night and we have Campana in for him, you don't really have to change your approach too much. Yes, it's a drop off in skill, but it's the same type of player as opposed to going from Campana to Martinez or misplaying Facundo Farias as at striker. There's a big difference in the way that those people play up front. But having Campana and Suarez, you have your big-bodied player who can do the same type of things in attack. So, granted, of course, very different talent gap there, but they have the same abilities. So that's something that's nice because it'll help give us some kind of consistency in attack, because that's something that we've noticed with this team is where's the consistency when one player is out and you're trying to find the supplement to him. It's just not there. So this is good. It's showing that we're going to have a plan moving forward, and on top of that, it does get Facu out of that striker position so he can maybe play a little more consistently in the right spot.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, we've been trying to get this guy since July. there's a reason, right, Dave? Like what you're saying, like there's a reason he just fits a little better. He just meshes with Messi and everyone else in that team that they're trying to build. They're trying to build a roster around. I mean, it's like if you guys ever, like I did, like Chris was talking before the episode started. I was also looking at like 2015, 2016 team from Barcelona, just because I was just curious. I'm like, obviously, we're not getting the same player.
Who else is coming?
I mean, right? Well, that's part of it, right? The rumors this week they've been talking about. I know, Julio, cover your ears. You don't want to talk about this. I understand, but there's a reason why we've been linked to so many players from that squad, because it was like The Office. The Office has the perfect cast. That was just the perfect cast of players that they just all got together and played football. And it's like now they want to come here and play again, right? So it's like if you see all the trophies that team alone got, it's stupid. It's stupid, and it's because they're not selfish players. None of them are selfish players. They're all looking to create for each other, and it's about the team, not necessarily about the player. Which is crazy because they literally had the best player in the world on their team, and he took that role. He just like didn't care. He's like, whatever, I'll take over when I gotta take over. But it never felt that way. Like he was just like, give him the ball and get out of the way. It didn't feel that way.
That's sort of what I was talking about. Is all of these are playmakers. Like it's not just like, oh, that guy's the goal person, that guy's the assist guy. All of these people, all of these players can do basically all of it. They can assist at times, they can score at times, and yeah, it was about the team, and that's hopefully will be the identity of what Inter Miami is moving forward. To your point, Dave, having Campana being the backup to Suarez, like there's an identity in who we want as our number 9. It's a bigger striker that has technical ability, that is very clinical in scoring, rather than having sort of the speedy guy that's always going to run in behind. You have more positional awareness, people that run off the back shoulder of defenders, pick and choose their spots when they want to be fast, but also can be the target man that receives and passes off to wingers that are cutting in. It develops an identity as a creative team, and it's going to be a creative team that scores in bunches. Like we're going to be scoring a lot. And to that end, we were talking about Luis Suarez's minutes. He might not have to play 90 minutes every match when he starts. He might only have to play 60, 70 minutes. And quite frankly, some of the games that we play are going to be over by then. There will obviously be matches that we get to the 80, 85th, 90th minute where we're down or even still drawing with someone. But some of these matches against the lower end teams in the table, we're going to be blowing the doors off of them. And he might not need to play. Messi might not need to play. Busquets, Alba, any of these old veterans that we're bringing in might not need to play 90 minutes like they were at the tail end of this season. And that's a huge load when we consider that we have so many competitions that this team is going to be a part of. I think we mentioned during one of our past episodes that if they make it to the final of every competition that we're in, it's going to be in excess of 60 matches, which is a crazy workload for any club to manage. And with the squad size that we have right now, it's going to be a huge toll on some of these players. So getting some rotation and being able to pull ahead in matches to a point where we can sub some of these backup players on to not just relieve some of these players, but to also get match time where we're going to need them in all the competitions is going to be critical to the success of this team. But yeah, how could you not be so excited for Luis Suarez, given what he's done across his entire career, but also given what he's done just this season in Brazil, where you can more see the comparisons to MLS level competition versus when you're saying, oh, Barcelona and like all that. Like, obviously, there's levels of difference between your European competition and American competition. But when you compare what he's doing in Gremio in the Brazilian league to the types of teams that he will be coming up against in the MLS, I think you will see a very smooth transition that he's going to be able to make to adjust and acclimate to the MLS competition. I think it's going to be just an insanely offensive team. We may not need to overhaul the defense as much as we thought because the offense might be able to cover up some of those blemishes.
Julio, you mentioned earlier,
just fix the defense.
He leads their current team in goals scored and assists scored, right? Like, imagine he didn't even play with those people.
Right.
Like, now he's playing with his buddies that he played for a decade with. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's the fact that he still is able to lead that team and in a more competitive league than the MLS, be able to do what he's doing there. How he's gonna do it with Messi and Alba and Busquets. I mean, I did you know, God forbid if we get Rakitic and Roberto. I have to say it.
Yeah, some people just know ball, right? Like some people just know you can. There's certain players that you can just take out in a vacuum and put them on any team, and they will produce. And Luis Suarez is without a doubt one of them. So it's going to be just absolutely crazy. And what I really love when I was watching some of his highlights from the season is the level of care he has when things don't go his way. Like whenever you see either someone doesn't pass to him when he's clearly like very open for an opportunity, or if he passes off to someone and they somehow miss the opportunity or a defender makes a nice play, whatever, he is so visibly upset. And he's always been very very animated when it comes to showing his emotions and wearing his heart on his sleeve. But it's nice to see that still exists, because it's not like he's playing at the highest level of European competitions anymore. He's playing in the Brazilian league, which that's not a shot at the Brazilian league, but obviously, again, there's a drop off. But seeing him have that emotion at 36 years old, it makes me very excited. And he's going to, like, he wanted to come to play with Messi. He wanted to come and be part of this team. And that's going to bring that out even more. And I love seeing that like fire, that passion, and it's going to make him such a likable character for the Inter Miami supporter, and it's going to make him so hated by the other fan bases, and that's just what Miami lives for. We love being the villain, and Luis Suarez is going to be public enemy number one, because like Messi is like beloved. Like you can be like, oh, Miami bought Messi and whatever. The league has morphed into allowing him to bend the rules and whatever crap. Luis Suarez is going to be the poster boy of like annoying people to play against. And I cannot wait to just hear and absorb all of it and just like beat them 6-0 every game.
And they're gonna have so much fun. They're gonna have so much fun doing it.
Fun.
And it goes to what you were saying, that he wanted to be here. Not just he wanted to be here. Messi's one of his best friends. Their wives, Messi's wife and Luis Suarez's wife are really, really close friends, including they have a clothing line together. So having them in the
did
same,
you know?
Yeah,
I was about to say, did you know? Yeah. That's a great did you know.
In the same city, finally they can get that thing up and running again. So absolutely, these guys have wanted to be together since the get-go. So being in Gremio was just a detour. They were always meant to play together. So, and they're gonna have so much fun. Think about it. Alba, Busquets, these guys, you're just gonna see them. It's gonna be like when we're playing clubs and like the human players are just pinging the ball to each other, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's just them." It's gonna be like that, I think, in the beginning, because they're gonna miss playing with each other and they're ready to have some fun. And you know how Messi's doing all the Marvel celebrations. Just imagine Luis Suarez with his big chompers just cracking up, scoring 3 goals a game, because it's just so easy to him. I'm just so pumped. I'm really, really pumped for this group to be together. And yeah, I know Jose said Rakitic. That's a rumor that's out there. We're not sure if it's true or not. Amazing. But Sorry, earmuffs. Just imagine
Stupid.
if we just keep sprinkling in Sergio
Sprinkling
Roberto. Like
the
it's
2015
gonna get
Barcelona
so
team.
dumb. It's gonna get so dumb and so great. Give it to me. Give me everything. I want
God.
everything. I want
It's
it all.
going to get to a point where I do wonder if American players that are heading towards sort of the twilight of their careers or just are more advanced, if they would consider like taking a pay cut, because obviously the MLS has very specific and strict rules as far as salary cap. I wonder if some of these more veteran players will say this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to play with some of the game's greatest. And yeah, maybe I could, just as an example, I could be making $1 million, but what if I make $670,000, but go play with Messi and Suarez and Busquets and Alba, and that way Inter Miami find a way to conform to the rules, but still pick up like
who you
really
talking
key
about?
pieces. I'm just saying in general, like there has to be people that are considering it already, right? Like there has to be people considering, like, just okay, Michael Bradley retired, and I'm not saying I want Michael Bradley because I think he's way past his ability. But just as an example, right? Like there are probably players that are 3-4 years shy of where Michael Bradley is right now, that are sort of on the last leg of their career, that probably are like, wow, like if I got the call,
Zimmerman's
super young. Get out of here.
Just get him.
Give me the best American center back.
Just get him. I don't
give
get
me
it.
the face of a club franchise, please. No, but honestly, it does beg the question if some of these veteran players would be like, yeah, maybe I'll take like a 25% pay cut to go play in Miami. I think that's really interesting because we can talk and dream about Modric and Rakitic and like all these different players that might be joining, but realistically, we do need to conform to the rules as they are right now. Like we don't know what changes might be in play come December, but it's something that I think should be considered. I don't know who's out there, but
look, like I was reading up on how we formed the current team that we have. We had players on the DP designated player, and we just shuffled it around, and we said these aren't the droids you're looking at. We had Gregory, right? He had a DP designation. We took it off. Campana was a young DP. We took it off. And we had who was it? Pizarro. Magically, you're not here anymore. Yeah, we just figured it out, and so what we did was we gave two DP designations to Messi, obviously, and then also to Busi, and then what we did was we actually signed outright Alba. So maybe that's what we're gonna have to do under the current rules with Suarez. So we'll see. I mean, there's ways around it.
I mean, the specifics will come out, in the next month and a half. The Brazilian league ends December 6th, I think, is the final like match week. And then the MLS rule change committee or meetings or whatever you want to call them, those are towards the end of December, if I'm not mistaken. The official international transfer window opens up January 1st. And I mean, this deal is all but done. That's why we're talking the way we're talking about Luis Suarez. But we'll find out a lot of information on the specifics, the roster building that Inter Miami is going to be going through to make this happen.
How much we can still do, like how much flexibility
that's a big thing to me, because we talked about in sort of our post-mortem for the season is that like really the wing backs and the center backs were of our top priorities, and striker was up there, maybe like the second or third priority to get someone alongside or ahead of Campana, but the defense needs some shoring up. So it'll be interesting to see what we still can do, like you mentioned.
With having the just two DPs, the rules let us have 3 under 22 players, and we already used those slots. We use it for Gomez, right?
Yeah.
We use it for Toto, and then we also used it for Facu. So right now, I don't know what we can do with that. I don't know if maybe one of them can.
No, it doesn't all have to be international players. Like I said, we can get American players. We
Mukhtar,
can also like, and Ian Frey, happy birthday, Ian Frey is always kind of like a joke, but like he's just been injured all season. I think he tore his ACL. Like he's a defender. So like there's people in our system, players in our system that just have been on the mend. But by the time
McVay is one that they have sites for him to play minutes as well. So
big time.
The guy that was on the loan, I forgot his name right now.
Gonzalez Pires.
Yeah, it's another.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's lots of players that are already sort of in the system. I mean, we re-signed Kamal Miller to a long-term extension. I think Toto Aviles is in the long-term plans. Christoph can sort of be the rotational. I know you shake your head, but like he's capable.
I know, yeah.
Like he's just someone that we have,
especially as a backup. I mean, he's capable to substitute in.
I'm just assuming that we're trying to get folks that fit the system. I don't know if he's very slow. You know what I'm saying? We play a lot. We play a lot with our backs.
But he also has the ability to play a long pass. Like I don't want to turn this into like a Christoph analysis episode, but you know these to a certain extent. The center backs specifically, you sort of just need them to be very stout defensively because the wing backs are the ones that are going to be the system players that are very creative and getting up and like changing sort of the angles. The center backs, you just need them to an extent to be pacey because they have to cover a lot of ground due to the fact that our wing backs are very offensive minded. But there's a lot of people that we weren't given the opportunity to see for large stretches of this past season that I think are in the long-term plans of the club.
Gene.
Yeah, he's a attacker.
No, but what I'm saying is that he also was out. He was injured. That's another guy that we're just going to randomly get, you know?
Yeah, no. Inter Miami was, to an extent, quite unlucky with injuries this past season. And yeah, to your point, there will be a lot of faces that we haven't seen in a long time, but they're not new faces. They're just players that suffered injuries pretty early in the season that took them out for the remainder of the season. And we didn't get the chance to see alongside the Barca boys, as we want to call them, since Barca's our feeder program. So I don't know if you guys have any more words on Luis Suarez before we talk about the Noche de Oro. No? Me? You want me to talk?
Chris does have some stuff to say, but you know.
Oh, Chris, didn't you have some stats about Luis Suarez that you were mentioning before the episode?
Unbearable.
No, you already stole them from me, Julio.
Okay, so let's talk about the Noche de Oro.
Scoring leader.
So let's talk about the Noche de Oro. So Inter Miami announced that on Friday, November 10th, they will be having the presentation of the Ballon d'Or that Messi won, rightfully won, I might add. They will be having an award ceremony, a presentation to the fans of the Ballon d'Or, which I think is an incredible chance for an American fan base to be able to see this trophy as the only time in history, the first time in history that this award has been presented to a player from a club outside of Europe. And I think that alone is worth the price of admission. But on top of that, they were able to pivot away from the China matches that were canceled for various reasons, and were able to schedule a friendly against NYCFC following the presentation of the Ballon d'Or. So it will be sort of a two-pronged event with the awards presentation and then a friendly match against NYCFC. I think the match in and of itself won't be that interesting. It's a friendly. It's against MLS opposition, and you know, we might get some cameo appearances from our big players, but outside of that, I don't think there's much analysis to be made about this match. It would have been more fun to play against a team that we don't have experience against. It would have been really cool to see a match against some of these Chinese teams, just like it will be very exciting when we play Newell's Old Boys in February, but it's better than nothing. We'll have something to talk about as far as like match analysis. Maybe we'll see some of these players that we're just mentioning that we haven't seen in a long time. But I think right now, really cool is the Ballon d'Or presentation. It's going to be in Drive Pink Stadium. It is one of the trophies in the Inter Miami hardware cabinet. And we will claim that until the day we die. And I think it's cool. I think we're looking at tickets. How much were tickets, guys, the cheapest tickets to get in?
64 was the cheapest. There are like 2 other ones in the 60s, and then you go up to like 80s, 100.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
when
it's relatively cheap.
when they came out from like the club itself, I think they were in the 80s. So it's come down a little bit, and I think that's well worth the price of admission. Like people want to moan and groan, but like going to anything right now is expensive. Like it costs like $40 to go to the zoo. Like, you're gonna pay money to go to some of these events, and honestly, seeing the Ballon d'Or and seeing the presentation of it is going to be like a huge spectacle. I think that's well worth it because you also get a match, even if it's a friendly against NYCFC.
Great family event. Also, you can take the kids.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
The
Like
weather's
people
great outside
will
right now,
moan and groan
honestly.
about it, but I think the pricing's fine. I'm not too fussed about it. But I think it's going to be a super cool event. I'm glad that they put it together. You want to call it a money grab? Whatever, man. Like, what do you want this club to do? Like, I don't understand.
They want it to be a free, like some people just want everything to be given to them. And yeah, these tickets used to be dirt cheap because the product on the field
Because we didn't have the Ballon d'Or.
You had
the product on the field wasn't very good. And now this is the first time the Ballon d'Or is in the Western Hemisphere, for Pete's sake. Like this is a big deal. And yeah, it's a friendly. If you look at it through that prism, yeah, it's a lot of money for a friendly. But it's not just a friendly. They're presenting this award to the fan base, and that being said, I mean, $60 to $80 is not. I don't think that's too much to ask for, especially if you look at any other sporting event outside of the Miami Marlins. I mean, you can pretty much go to any game for that price, and that's a good price. $80 for a Heat game, for instance. It's not outlandish.
I agree.
It's funny in the Apple in the Inter Miami Messi the show. The documentary. One of the things that Messi actually was talking about there was he was saying how he was one of the only players that would from his World Cup team that didn't get presented with his club. So you don't think he looks at that? Yeah.
And what was the first thing? The first images that we saw of Messi after he came back were Inter Miami and all his teammates celebrating him. And it may have looked like kind of silly. Like I think Drake Callender came out with like a cutout 8, but like
he was talking
that's the little things,
Messi
man.
was just like, yeah, I don't know what you're saying.
That's like a little employee appreciation, right? Like it's a little something.
Yeah,
it's a little something. And everyone was bashing PSG. They're like, even Inter Miami celebrated Messi. God forbid.
God forbid. The best player in the world gets celebrated amongst the team. God forbid. And presented to their fans.
Unbelievable. I thought that was such a cool moment for the players of this club. Like these things are just once in a lifetime. Like we're never, realistically, the odds are that we're never going to see anything like this again. So it's so cool to see them. Like they're just like
most of those players,
happy little campers, man.
You think most
you know what was even cooler than that? What was even cooler than that is that Messi literally went overnight from France to practice Miami. Like
he could have.
You would think a guy of that caliber, after winning this trophy, like he would have gone somewhere else. He would have gone wherever, I don't know, anywhere in the world. But he came back to Miami and he came to practice. That's pretty cool.
Chris, he wanted to do anything to get the hell out of Paris. He was like, I'm out of here.
That's valid too. Probably true.
Hate this place.
Poor guy. It's a nightmare over there.
They didn't have his pizza.
Which looks disgusting.
All right, I think we're running out of gas here. So on that note, guys, I imagine we'll be able to do a recap video following the Noche de Oro. We'll talk about both the presentation and what our opinions were of it. I believe the presentation in itself will be broadcast on Apple TV Plus, the MLS Season Pass. So make sure you guys check that out. The match itself will also be broadcast. But for now, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. Let us know in the comments what you think of Luis Suarez joining the team. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Bonne nuit.